Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Tuesday, the 5th day of November, year of our Lord 2019, welcome to the John Moore Show. We begin our shows with something that, if President Trump is not reelected, they may try to do away with it. That would be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Prep tip of the day, I want to encourage all of you to work on your physical fitness. This is a time of year when people are typically slowing down in their physical activity. Don't do that. Remember to do lots and lots of stretching and work on your cardio as well as your muscle strength. So that would be a good thing to do. That's your prep tip of the day. Before we get to our special guest, exactly 1 year from today, 365 days from today, we will have an election. This time will pass by so fast it will make your head spin. So keep that in mind. Encourage your conservative friends to register to vote and to actually vote in the primaries leading up to this election. Make sure that they identify and support Constitution-defending candidates at all levels, especially the county level. We have patiently waiting agreement on my friend Steve Ben Noon. His website is IsraeliNewsLive.org. I say again, IsraeliNewsLive.org. And we're going to be talking about the events of the day. Good morning, Steve.
Yeah, I just realized I had to click the join call button there.
Events of the day. You did a video in the last 24 hours or so about what's going on involving Iran and Yemen and Iraq. The coalitions that are being developed, it kind of caught me off guard when I saw that the Saudis and Israel have formed a coalition to accomplish mutual goals. That really caught me off guard. How about you, sir?
Well, the thing is, the Saudis and the Israelis have been working together behind the scenes, a lot of people not realizing it. There are Israeli jets that are sitting on Saudi runways already, and that's been a cooperation that's been going on quite some time. But a lot of people are just not, they're just not familiar with that. Because naturally it's like, there's always an enemy element between the two. But they have been more and more trying to work together, and this is one reason why they want the Saudis to take over the Temple Mount in Israel and not the Jordanians having that authority, because they could get more leverage on the Temple Mount if they were to do that.
Well, that piece of real estate there, about how many square miles would Jerusalem be, roughly?
Wow. As far as square miles, I'm not really sure, but I know it's only like about 1.5 miles across.
Okay.
Miles.
Mile and a half by 1.5 miles. So we're looking at 4 or 5 square miles, and maybe 6. A relatively compact area. I've got neighbors that own 2 square miles themselves personally. So it's a relatively small area. Yeah. And very contentious, extremely historical, extremely important to a couple of the world's major religions. And the area is taken very seriously at the very highest levels, isn't it?
It is. It very much is. I mean, especially back during the Intifada. I used to live in Israel during the Intifada. You couldn't go into McDonald's without being searched. It's not quite that bad now, but it used to be very, very bad. And but if anybody that has really paid attention in the last 10 years really that visit there, the infrastructure around Jerusalem has really been changing a lot, and I have watched it very closely because you can tell they're preparing to make Jerusalem an international city. We've built brand new highways, not just one highway into Jerusalem, but from all four directions, north, south, east, and west. The train rail system being put in, checkpoints being built that were not originally built. So it looks like Israel is going to be an international city in the future. And speaking of Saudi Arabia, there is an agreement between Israel, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. Whether it's known or not, I don't know. But they're wanting to make a tri-state free trade zone between the three nations, and that's a future plan as well.
And the three nations would be which three again?
Egypt, Israel, and Saudi Arabia.
Okay, all right. Well, building anything in that part of the world must be a real challenge as far as archaeology, because you can't plant a tomato plant without bumping into something that's 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 years old, can you?
That's the other problem, and that is very, very frequently that happens. As soon as they start digging, you start running into old things. And I seen for myself when the Palestinians would dig on the Temple Mount, they would take the dirt and they'd go down in the Kidron Valley and they would dump it. And I've gone down through there and just sift through it, and you find old pottery shards and everything, and no telling how old this stuff is.
Well, there's people who make that their expertise, and it must be an amazing place to visit, let alone live there, and be able to walk down the streets that have been walked on for many thousands of years. I was impressed being in Prague, Czech Republic 2 years ago, to walk across a bridge where the Czechs stopped the Viking invasion. But that's recent history compared to the Middle East, isn't it?
It is. And you're right, even in the Czech Republic, we have buildings there, because I used to live in Prague, and we talk about an old building in America. Wow, it's 200 years old. That's an old house over there. Well, shoot, they live in houses that are 500-600 years old. So, but then you go to Israel and you can live in a house. If you're living underground, they have some of them there, which people don't live in them anymore. But still, you've got places that are more than a couple of thousand years old.
Right.
It's very interesting.
You've been to that part of the world. I'm curious. There's a massive ancient underground city in Turkey, where at least 5,000 plus people lived at one time. Have you had a chance to be there in person, I wonder?
Not there. I have been to Istanbul before, but I haven't been to that city there. And I know, there's several around the world like that, where there's these underground cities. I think there's a special right now, if people are curious about it, called, what is it? Alien something on Netflix. They just came out with a series, and they talk about, I don't know if they do the one on Turkey or not, but there's several of them that they bring out that are dated many, many thousands of years ago, and it, literally in one of them, it looks like ant colonies built underground, but it's by humans, and the network is so massive that they had animals, humans, everything underneath there, and they really, you just have to watch it to see it, but it's really amazing what they do, and supposedly they believe it was done for the result of trying to escape some type of cataclysmic change that was coming. Some people believe it was because of another ice age. Some believe it was because of some kind of alien type war above ground. And they show the depictions of what the Indians called ant people that actually helped build this.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Well, archaeology is a passion of mine. I've got a stack of books, at least a foot tall, laid on, on top of each other. And out of place artifacts is a fascinating area that mainstream archaeology basically disregards, similar to the medical profession disregarding the placebo effect, where the body is actually healing itself. And they just disregard that as being a reality, which of course it is right in front of their face. And the reality of out-of-place artifacts is something that mainstream archaeology just ignores. I don't know how much you've looked into that, Steve, but I've looked into it pretty extensively, having read about 4,000 to 8,000 pages of books by qualified experts. And being in the Middle East, I would think that out-of-place artifacts, something that comes up frequently is the Baghdad batteries. I'm sure you're familiar with them.
I am not familiar with the Baghdad batteries.
Oh, well, then you're about to be.
There you go.
Thousands of these have been uncovered, going back 2,000 plus years. These are basically stone jars, pottery jars, that have metal rods in them that if you place fruit juice, say, for example, lemon juice, in these stone jars, you get electricity. Now, mainstream archaeology says the following about the Baghdad batteries. This is not a secret. They say, oh, these people were doing a primitive form of electroplating. Well, it must have been awfully darn popular. That's all I can say, because they have recovered thousands of what's called Baghdad batteries. That would be these jars with iron rods in them. And the ability to make iron, by the way, was a rather special thing in and of itself. I read recently that in King Tut's tomb they found a dagger, a very beautiful ornate dagger that was made from iron. The Egyptians at the time of King Tut could not make iron. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But in addition, and you may or may not be aware of this, there's a number of sites around the planet where we have scientific verification that nuclear devices were set off about 12,000 years ago.
Yes.
You are aware of that, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I am aware of that.
Now, going back to the Netflix series and what they're calling aliens, I believe that's an attempt, with great success, by the way, to have people continue to believe in the Darwinian evolutionary theory. Under traditional archaeology and traditional Darwinian evolutionary theory, your ancestors, Steve, my ancestors 12,000 years ago, had a vocabulary of grunts and groans and could maybe herd a few sheep, maybe, and were basically primitive people that had no written language, no knowledge of mathematics beyond counting their fingers and toes. That's what we're supposed to believe. And the reality is our ancestors were splitting the atom 12,000 years ago, and it was not aliens. That's what traditional archaeology does not want us to know about.
You're right, and they don't want that knowledge to be out there. And you mentioned the Egyptians. That they have hieroglyphics of planes. They have it of literally like a light bulb, and
the helicopter. I like the heavy lift helicopter, which we only had those about 40 years or so.
Right. They just, I think what happens, John, because my thought has always been that, you lose the technology because of wars, things like that, and then you have to kind of like basically start over again. But yes, they, in fact, like yourself, I just love archaeology as well. In fact, if you ever visit Israel, one place that people could check out is the Bethsaida Project. I happen to know Dr. Rami Arav. He's the head of the Bethsaida Project. He's an Israeli. He's also a professor of Nebraska University who's over that project there. And that it's just recently people are starting to realize it's there. I used to go there all the time, but because I actually lived right across the street from it.
Give us the spelling of that project.
Bethsaida is, let me look it up to be sure, but it's B-E-T-H, let me see, B-E-T-H, B-E-T-H-S-A-I-D-A, Bethsaida.
Okay, got it. Bethsaida Project.
Yeah.
Steve, we got a caller on hold. We're at Jerry in Texas. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, John, and it's Steve, isn't it? I got too many guests on John that starts with a J or an S, and I can't keep them straight. But anyway, two things I want to point out. If people believe in the Bible and creation by God, when Adam and Eve ate of the forbidden fruit of knowledge of good and evil and were cast out of the garden, God did not leave them up to their own resources. I'm convinced that. He instilled a great deal of knowledge. Otherwise, if we go with a mantra, if you will, of what some people would like for us to believe, they would have never survived. Folks, think about that. The first two men that offspring, one of them was a herdsman, the other one was a farmer, from all indications. So God instilled a certain, probably a good deal of knowledge in man to survive. And if you want to talk about the Stone Age, come to Texas. I can take you right out here on my little old piece of property, and I can show you evidence of Stone Age no further back than probably 200-300 years. Arrows and pieces of flint and various things that the Native Americans had here. I've got near perfect arrowheads. So that I have. You
have a collection there and take photographs of it. Jerry, you want to hold on to the break?
If you don't mind, please.
Okay, we have a break. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. There are more here on Tuesday, the 11th of November, the 11th, the 5th of November. Let's get that right, the 5th of November. We still have cabins available. I was talking to our cruise director. We don't know how long there'll be cabins available on the Caribbean cruise. If you call our cruise director, Betsy Murphy, she can give you an update on that. We're going to be gone the second week of February 2020. They'll be here before we know it. We have a speaking engagement with Steve Ben Noon on Saturday, the 8th day of February, the day before the cruise. That'll be a lot of fun also. Our cruise director's phone number, Betsy Murphy, here it is, 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. Visiting with Stephen Ben Noon, the proprietor of IsraeliNewsLive.org, and we held over Jerry from the last segment. Go ahead, Jerry. Let's wrap it up.
Okay. Basically, that's all I wanted to say. We had the North American continent, the Americas was still in the Stone Age as late as, the 18th century or 16th, 17th century. The people that like to think that we all come from the trees and with knuckle draggers, and I take them to task on it. But there has been knowledge.
Before you get away, Jerry, there's a place in Texas, I think it's called Rockwall, Texas, where there's an ancient rock wall that's miles long. You're not aware of that, are you?
I'm not familiar with that. There are several areas that that have paintings and what they. One is down in the Big Bend area that is pretty popular. There's Paint Rock that is just west of me, probably 75 miles or so. That supposed to have some graphics on it, but I'm not familiar with Paint Wall. But that don't mean anything.
It's actually a city, Rockwall, one word, Rockwall, Texas, and there is a vast human-built rock wall there that has never been fully excavated. Okay, well, Jerry, thank you for the call.
Yeah, I've got roosters sighting. Y'all have a good day. Thanks for calling, taking my call.
Our next caller is Jim in Brooklyn. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Steve. I have a couple of real quick points. To elaborate on what Jerry just said, according to Jewish tradition, I am an Orthodox Jew, Adam and Eve were the most intelligent and beautiful people that ever existed. They were the model. They were the crown of creation. And everyone since them is only a degraded facsimile. Now, I happen to have in my library here what many Orthodox Jews have, which is called Sefer Raziel HaMelech, which means the book of the angel Raziel. And tradition has it that this book was given by the angel Raziel as an emissary of God to Adam. People do not, it's printed in very small print because it causes, people can actually go off the end if they study it. So it's put out in very small print. If you want, okay, I want to move on from that. And I want to say also that the original language of the world was Hebrew. And when it says in the time of the Tower of Babel that the whole world was of one language, that this was Hebrew. Another thing I wanted to mention is that in Turkey today, another archaeological site is on Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey, the site of Noah's Ark, which actually has archaeological fragments that are left there. I'm sure Steve is aware of that, right? And it's, the site is there, and it's valid. Also, with regard to inventions in so many thousands of years ago, I don't doubt at all the thing about the Baghdad batteries. But according to tradition, we have it, and we can see, it says that the well springs of technical knowledge were predicted by Jewish scholars thousands of years ago. The well springs of technical knowledge were destined to open in our calendar that we use today of 1840. In other words, if we go back to 1840, we can see beginning with the railroads and telegraph engines, etc., that it really did begin around 1840. As far as the other ones,
you're right, Jim. There was an explosion of technological development around that time. You're right.
And also, I wanted to mention about I guess I'll leave it at that for now. But I just want to. I want to ask you. You must also have read, or perhaps you subscribe to or Steve also, to the Biblical Archaeological Review. Do you read that?
I've read articles, but not on a regular basis. How about you, Steve?
No, I don't. I haven't read that one there. I do it more as just a sideline passion. I'm interested in it, and I got more interested in it because of Middle East archaeology.
Right. Jim, thank you for the call, sir.
I noticed it's in my library here. It's called
Jim, thank you for the call. Yeah. We got a break. Don't be a stranger. Call again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Go. Caller on hold. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 5th day of November. My website is thelibertyman.com. Thelibertyman.com. We've got lots of ways to listen to my show live and to archives. Everything is right there at my website at thelibertyman.com under radio, general information page. Look at all of this stuff. We got YouTube archives. We got RBN archives. You can listen on, on the telephone, on TuneIn, on TalkStream Live, internetradio.com, Shoutcast, mobile friendly. How about that? Also, my website, something I use every night. That would be the energy cleaner. I go to bed. I may have some aches and pains. I was working around the ranch here yesterday, working on a half-century-old garage door to get it to function properly. That was a challenge, but I met the challenge, and the garage door now works. I went to bed with minor aches and pains, woke up pain-free. You can also. You can, really. If you got arthritis pain, you need an energy cleaner. Check out the details at my website at thelibertyman.com. You can place your order right there using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. Get yourself an energy cleaner and a mattress pad to go with it. You already have an energy cleaner. If somebody close to you, somebody you care about has arthritis pain, they're not sleeping well, what a great Christmas gift. What a great Christmas gift. I have a toll-free order line 24 hours a day. That's 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Steve at Ben Noon. His website is IsraeliNewsLive.org. I say again, IsraeliNewsLive.org. There's a link in my links page. Steve, our next caller is Elizabeth in New York. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, John. Good morning, Steve. The reason why I'm calling, I know that you have a great interest in Middle East archaeology, as do I. I did a lot of research into the discoveries of Ron Wyatt, and some of the things that you mentioned about, nuclear having been used many years ago. There was evidence of that at Sodom and Gomorrah, at the Red Sea crossing. But most of all, the Ark of the Covenant. I truly believe that Ron Wyatt did indeed find the Ark of the Covenant. And he has a website, it's arkdiscovery.com. And I highly encourage you, Steve, to look into that because I believe that he did tell the truth. There was reports that six people were dressed up in Levite garments because they thought that they were going to be able to go in and retrieve the Ark of the Covenant from the chamber where it was found. And they were struck dead with double hemorrhages. Now, Ron Wyatt was an anesthetist. Him and his sons traveled, seeking to prove to people that what was in the Bible was absolutely true. He not only discovered that, he discovered the Red Sea crossing, Noah's Ark, Sodom and Gomorrah.
Let me
discoveries as well.
I'd like to comment on that.
Please do.
Ron's wife, Mary Neal Wyatt, is a good friend of mine. I met her when I was writing the book Yam Suf, The Final Exodus. It was a book I wrote about the redemption of Israel. And because of writing this book here, and of course years ago, I had seen the documentary. I forget the name of it off the top of my head there, but it was Vivica Pontian and a Swedish doctor that had done it that were talking about the research of Ron Wyatt. Ron's name, as far as I know, is not mentioned in that film, but the film that was done there had caught my attention, and inadvertently I discovered that Ron Wyatt was the one that had found the place there on the Gulf of Aqaba where it is believed the children of Israel crossed. And I really believe, especially in that case there, I believe that he was 100% accurate on that. I actually discovered the mountain that through satellite photos where the same like the burned mountain that he had found on that he believed to be the Mount Sinai over in modern-day Saudi Arabia, that was correct. And just like that mountain was burnt, directly due east across the Gulf of Aqaba, there's another mountain that has the same burn patterns as it does on the one down there in the Sinai. Vivica Pontian had said to me, she said, "Oh my gosh," she said, we no one had ever noticed that one before. We'd seen some others in the region, but not that one. So, and of course I am familiar with a lot of the information about the Ark of the Covenant, and I have heard the story told about, these supposed Levites tried to go in and ended up dying as a result trying to remove this. There's a lot of interesting information there, and unfortunately there's been a lot of people that never give credit to this man. I think he was a humble man, and I really respect that about him, because he was not a doctor. In fact, this is why I think his name was Moeller. No, I'm sorry, not that. Oh gosh, I wish I could think of his name right now, the Swedish doctor that did that film. But he literally stole all of his information. He was, and Ron was supposed to be a part of the documentary, but then they come back and said, well, he had no credentials. It would not look good, but they would give him credit. They never give him credit for anything that he did, and pretty much wrote him off as a quack. But now, interestingly enough, his son's wife was at one of my conferences recently, is in Tennessee, and she came up to me and she shared with me that the Saudis still, one of the princes there, still have a high regard for him. I can't go into the details behind that, but I think this has a lot to do with what they're doing with the tri-state thing that we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast there, where Egypt, Israel, Saudi Arabia are going to have a tri-state free trade zone, because it just so happens inside what they call the Neom City that Saudi Arabia is building, they have included the site that Ron discovered as part of the city parameters. And I have a strange feeling that's going to become a major tourist zone in the not-so-distant future.
Steve, one other thing I wanted to say really quick is that, I had the actual Israeli antiquity report that did indeed verify that Ron did excavate there, but the Israeli Antiquity Authority tried to totally deny it and discredit him. There's even a pomegranate that's in the museum there that Ron found, and it's inscribed. And it mentions Solomon on the inscription. I don't know if you've ever seen it in the museum.
I didn't. I was not aware of that. And like I said, for me, in my research, it was mainly the one site. I know Vivica; she had been down to the place there where you can still to this day find the round balls of sulfur that was believed to use to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's a very, very interesting place as well, not far from the Qumran area.
There is a DVD that's available on the Ark of Discovery website that has all of the documented information. You might want to check into it. I regularly keep in contact with Kevin Fisher. He was one of Ron's associates and often traveled with him. And he said that the chamber has been sealed up. They know where it is, but because of the Temple Mountain unrest and everything, they're keeping it on the down low.
Very interesting.
It is. Elizabeth has some interesting comments. We do appreciate the call.
Yes, thank you very much for taking my call.
Okay, well,
have
thank you.
Have a good day, and you can be in contact with me if you wish any more information, Steve. I'll gladly share with you anything I have.
How do we reach you?
I have Elizabeth's contact information.
Okay, that'll be good.
So that's fine. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
God bless
it.
you guys. Have a
Okay.
good day.
I didn't really plan this show this morning, Steve. It just kind of happened.
Sometimes spontaneously is interesting, though, John. I mean,
it is.
I thought we were going to get onto archaeology, but that was interesting.
It is. There's all kinds of rabbit trails. One of the fascinating ones. Most of us that have access to a good-sized supermarket, such as Trader Joe's, for example, can find in the bakery section bread made from spelt grain, S-P-E-L-T, spelt grain bread and other bakery products. It's only been the last 40 years because we did not have the technology until about 40 years ago to make the following determination. Spelt grain grown today is the same spelt grain grown 6,000 years ago. We know that for a fact. We also know that the grain grown 6,000 years ago is genetically modified. It is not natural. And in addition, there's a bonus. It has a high level of being radiation resistant.
Interesting, isn't it?
It's fascinating. So our ancestors, who we're told could grunt and groan, had no written language, 6,000 years ago, could do something that we could only do about 40 years ago, and that was to fabricate genetically modified plants. Fascinating stuff. Absolutely fascinating. This old rock we live on, the third rock from the sun, Steve, goes through cycles. And Emanuel Velikovsky has documented this quite well in his books, his 3 books that he got. He was a medical doctor. He had no formal training whatsoever in archaeology. But he was a very bright guy, medical doctor, and he actually traveled to the sites and looked at them firsthand, where there had been massive disruptions on our planet as far as violent climate change. And this rock we live on goes through these cycles. Every time we reach a high level of technology, the ability to split the atom, for example, which is pretty high technology, then we get smacked down to the mud as a race, with almost everybody dying and losing all knowledge of that high technology and starting over, don't we?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, John. You know, you mentioned, we were talking about the archaeology. Another thing that's interesting as well is, I know there's been more and more debate over where the temple once stood, but even for the traditional site we have in Israel, and I've been there all underground under the old city to see these things here, but they had a modern aqueduct water system with piping, John, with piping that was sealed just as modern as we have today in order to create the water pressure needed and have enough supply to like have an artesian well on the Temple Mount.
Right.
And that's exactly how they cleaned everything.
On Cyprus, the archaeologists have uncovered a building 4 stories tall that had flush toilets. In the county I live in, Crawford County, we don't have a 4-story building in the entire county. So 1,000 years before Jesus Christ walked this earth, there was a structure on Cyprus, 4 stories tall, with flush toilets. I don't believe the White House had flush toilets until late in the 19th century, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. When I was a kid living with my great-grandmother, we didn't have hot water, so,
my grandmother didn't have a flush toilet until she was well into her late 70s, early 80s. I have neighbors within a 1 mile of where I live. I have neighbors that still have an outhouse that don't have a flush toilet in 2019.
Yep, I had my aunt back when I was 20s. They still had the outhouse. They finally had gotten modern plumbing, but yeah, they still had the outhouse and still functional.
So, well, there's no moving parts except the lid that flaps up and down. So
that's right. And if you were wealthy, you had a 2-hole privy.
Well, when I was in college, I rented a pre-Civil War farmhouse, and we had an outhouse. But being college students, we had electric light, electric heater, and stereo for the rock and roll music.
Wow. Amazing, isn't it?
And speaker, we ran speaker wire out there. Well, people need to be aware of this. These violent earth changes are something you and I don't talk about very much, but it's part of the human condition, is that these violent earth changes do happen. And very bright people with high levels of technology, they're aware of these things. They attempt to survive them. And the record we have is that the technology does not survive, and a few people do.
Yes, absolutely. It's just amazing, John, that, because we do, in the way history is taught today, it is taught as if we were just cave people, with running around with clubs for all these years. And, granted, I would figure maybe for a couple hundred years there, we have been pretty much back in the Stone Age once again, but the fact that you go back far enough and we can see the technology that was used all over the world, and, we realize that there was a much greater understanding than what we have today. And just the fact that you bring out, John, that the wheat grain that they had was not modified all these back 6,000 years ago, this would also attest to why man was able to live so much longer. Once you start hybridizing your food crop, which is interesting because it breaks the commandment of God. It says, let every seed bring forth of its kind. We're not supposed to hybrid our food.
Right.
And that's what breaks down the human body, makes us weaker and makes us get more sick and die a lot sooner.
I'm partway through a book titled Seeds of Deception. It gets into all the horrific things that genetically modified foods are bringing to our dinner tables. I was visiting an Amish community about 4 weeks ago, and the men and women, the boys and girls, have a healthy glow about them that most Americans don't have. And they eat very healthy food, fruits and vegetables and meats. We got our last person. All right, we are back with J.R. Moore on Tuesday, the 5th of November, visiting Steve Ben Noon. His website's IsraeliNewsLive.org. What's new on your website? And I need to ask you, do we have a venue all squared away for the 8th day of February?
Yes, we do have the venue. I actually already have the page ready on our website, but I've not made it public until we get the ticket system straightened out. And we're trying to get with a company called e-tickets to actually attach to the website. I haven't quite figured it out. I've signed up for it already. The venue, though, John, is actually at the Embassy Suites by Hilton in Orlando. Actually, that's considered Maitland, Florida. It's just on the suburbs of Orlando here, and the address is 225 Shorecrest Drive, and Altamont Springs, Florida.
Altamont Springs, okay.
Yes. Maitland and Altamont are side by side. They're only like one exit apart, which is only like a mile apart, something like that.
225
Shorecrest Drive.
Shorecrest Drive, okay.
If you look up online, Embassy Suites by Hilton Orlando North, that's the venue. This is where the conference will be held at. Right now, they're showing that rooms are running at $110. I think we're still considered off season in February. So your rooms are probably still right around the same price there. So, those that have, and I've had several people email me, probably about a dozen from the broadcast here. I've responded to all of them thus far. Of course, I've not looked this morning. That have said they wanted to be able to get the tickets as soon as they come out. So that's why we have the website not published. We want to make sure that we can get this ticket system working properly before we make it available. And then again, I want to come back on the broadcast here we'll make that announcement. Once again, now the tickets are available so that people here have that first opportunity to get those tickets. So
we need to get this squared away so I can get on my website and start promoting this and selling tickets. So we'll talk about that privately. I don't want to take up airtime. It's been a fast hour here, hasn't it, Steve?
Is it already over?
Oh, yeah, we're down to the last 60 seconds. What do you want to tell these folks?
Oh, my goodness. Listen, you guys really should be watching John Moore's show.
Well, they obviously are. They're here.
Oh, that's funny, though. But, yeah, a lot of things are going on. And I'll tell you something. I think people should come to this event coming up because I know you'll be talking about, probably an array of things. John will be speaking first that morning at 10 a.m. for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it takes. And I think people need to come, John, because the things you say here, you might be able to say more at the conference.
Well, that's a given. Of course I will. In person is always better than radio. Radio is the most personal mass media there is, but in person is absolutely the best.
Yes, so I can't encourage people enough. That's also same with me. There's things.
All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Tuesday, the 11th of November. Prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to work on your physical fitness. It's going to be different things for different people. If you have any concerns about your health before you commence that program, you need to talk to your healthcare professional, whoever that might be, a doctor, a medical doctor, chiropractor, DO, whoever it is, and make sure that you're ready to begin a physical fitness regimen that will cause no harm. That's your prepper tip of the day. We have patient way in the green with my friend Leon Green. Leon has began a quest more than a decade ago to become quite proficient and quite knowledgeable in anything and everything to do with incorporating doTERRA essential oils into your daily life to help you have a healthier life, a more productive life, a life that has fewer insects in it, for example, and maybe ways to do your laundry in a healthier, more cost-effective way. Lots of ways to use these oils. Good morning, Leon.
Good morning, John. How you doing, sir?
I'm really good. How are you, sir?
Very good.
Are you in a marginal area for your cell phone, sir?
Yes. No. I'm gonna go pretty much to the front door. Maybe the reception's better now. But yeah, you sound pretty distant. Okay. How's it sound now?
Well, you sent me some photographs of a beautiful pickup truck before and after it was painted. And is that my presumption? That's your motor vehicle, your pickup truck?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. What make? What model? What year? What engine? What transmission? Tell us about this truck.
That's the same one I've had for a year now. It's the Dodge 95 2500 Cummins 5.9 liter. So I've just
you got a 12-valve Dodge. Okay.
Yes.
That's in the prepper community. For those who don't know, that Dodge pickup that was made for what was it 6 or 8 years there, Leon?
Yeah. Right.
It has a Cummins diesel engine. It's not a Dodge engine. It's a Cummins diesel engine, what's referred to commonly as the 12-valve engine. My Monday guest, Sam Andrews, that's his daily driver. He has a Dodge 12-valve pickup truck diesel engine. Tell people why that 12-valve engine is so highly regarded and why preppers want them so much, if you would, Leon.
I mean, there's a huge difference between, the years before and even the years after. The 24-valve wasn't as desired, and less moving parts, and the reliability was also impacted with 24-valve. So, yes, it was so coveted that even the military used it in some of the Deuce and a Half, the M35. So that's a phenomenal engine. It's bulletproof, and the only reason why I swapped it out was the guy had used it also with biodiesel. So it has so much variety of use, and I also had a professional upgrade it from 160 horsepower. Yeah, up to between 330 and 500. So there's a lot more energy that'll be converted to this. And this is all mechanical. We didn't do any chips or anything silly like that because I didn't want to be impacted by a EMP. So.
Right. Well, Sam's done a similar thing to his. His has a performance upgrade. It's just a beast. It's got a lift kit in there. The door sill of that truck, I'm 6 feet tall. The door sill is almost at my waist. It's high. Not much below my waist. I've been around these trucks. They're magnificent vehicles, and the resale value of these reflects that, doesn't it?
Absolutely, because when you look at the blue book on it, and with the NADA, and it said 3,000, and then I went to go buy it, and everybody had it at 9,000 and 12,000, and I'm like, and I even showed them the blue book, and they're like, well, nobody sells it for those prices.
That's a big so what. That's a big so what.
Exactly.
Well, congratulations! It's a beautiful machine, and it's a work in progress. Other than getting it painted, did you have to redo the interior?
No, I wasn't going to do the interior. I did the door seals, and I'm good with that. All I wanted to do was make sure the outside was properly coated for rust, and I'm going to be doing the things I have left to do with the solar panels. That's what you see those tabs at the top are for. I'm going to put 1,000 watts up there for 4 batteries, and then I'm also going to add the infrared and the sensors and the floodlights in the front when I get a chance, and then lastly put a snorkel. And
here's what's going to happen. This is. I'm not going to say it's inevitable, but you may have police officers pulling you over and politely saying, "Man, can I look at your truck?"
Well, yesterday in Wichita Falls, I had many police looking at my vehicle like, "Look at that," and they just turned their heads. It's like a lady walking down the street. They were following my truck down. I was like, "Oh boy."
Yep. Well, that's because they want one too. Now, the rack the cargo rack with the ladder, is that custom built or is something off the shelf?
No, that's the whole rack. I saw it from other utility companies and roofers, and I said, I'm going to have one built myself. So the expanded metal on top was put on there so I could protect my solar panels from any hail damage, and I can also use it as a shooting platform as needed. So it has multiple applications. Plus, there's a way to rack. And then when I was up in Indianapolis, I came across a bunch of acrylic glass, level 3 and 4. So I'm going to use that as a frame hold, so I can actually put AR500 along the doors, and then the C2 acrylic up top. So I have high-powered protection as well.
Okay, Leon, you and I have not talked about this privately. This is our first discussion of this truck, and I'm going to ask you to consider the following, please. I'd like you to consider writing an article about the truck, bringing us up from the beginning of research to where it is right now with photographs. And then as the project moves forward with further upgrades and modifications, that the article be added onto, and we'll put that on my website along with photographs of your beautiful truck.
Yes, sir.
That'd be fun. That would be helpful because it'll stimulate some thought for people. Now, I need to ask you, I don't want to dwell on this too much longer, what tires do you have mounted on this, sir?
Right now I have the BF Goodrich KO2s, and they have the Kevlar sidewalls, but more importantly, I have a multi-seal. Remember, that was the stuff that the military uses,
right,
and it can stop a hole up to 50 cal. So that is, so it doesn't affect, it doesn't freeze. It's like green slime for the military because it works very well, and because it has Kevlar in it. You're going to run out of tires. The tread is going to wear out before the tires will, and so even if they slapped the tire, you'd still be able to fill the holes. Yes, that's why I got that.
Sam Andrews tires, I don't know which brand they are, but I know there's Kevlar in his tires also. The two of you have to meet someday.
Yes.
That would be He has not made a commitment yet. We're hoping that he and his wife can go on a cruise with us,
I like that.
If it happens, that would be a great addition. Well, doing a segue here, Leanne, I just placed my monthly order for doTERRA products, and I'm stocking up on the two things right now: lemon and On Guard. With right behind it, Purify. I use the lemon. I'm consuming lemon every day in my drinking water, and I use lemon to do laundry. Lemon and Purify. 3 drops of lemon, 3 drops of Purify for most laundry. If there's grease, petroleum products on clothing, then I'll use detergent. But otherwise, for routine laundry, 3 drops of lemon and 3 drops of Purify. The clothes come out clean and fresh smelling, and just beautiful. And I'm pretty confident that 6 drops of this oil, 3 lemon and 3 Purify, is less expensive than detergent. What do you think, sir?
Absolutely, because the lemon is 2.5 cents a drop. So if you're doing 6, that's roughly, what is it, less than 15 cents, for a whole load of laundry. And there's nothing, without serious chemical issues that you can find that's even close to that will be able to do it holistically.
Absolutely. Got a question or comment for Leon in doTERRA Oils? Just give us a call at 800-313-9443. Well, I have my 11th edition of Modern Essentials, and of course my 5th edition, which I have right behind me where I'm sitting here. I make reference to these 2 books. I would say every 2 to 3 weeks something comes up, something routine around the ranch here, where I might have insect control issues, pest control issues. I don't believe it being speaking of pest control, the beaver war is over, Leon, and we won. It's been about a week ago that we did a full-scale assault, cutting down all their food sources, which was the weeping willow trees, and attacking their little house that they built, a little beaver house, with the Kubota tractor, pouring gasoline down the hole and setting it on fire. They've gone someplace else, and good riddance. So the beaver war is over, and we won. And my friend who was helping me, Ron, good morning, Ron, I know you're listening, he was looking forward to barbecued beaver. One of our neighbors volunteered to do that, but for the time being, there's not going to be any barbecued beaver. Do you have beavers up in your area there, Leon?
Up in the mountains, up in the mountains they do, and you can see along I-70. There's many lakes that have been formed by the construction crews of beavers over the last hundreds and hundreds of years, but they've been decimated because of the fur trappers and things like that. But yeah, people still tag them once or twice so they can. I don't know what the legal aspect is, but people, some of the farmers dislike it because they'll stop it up, and then then now they have to get a permit to have all the water on their property. So it's a tenuous situation with the government and EPA saying, no, you can't stop the waters. I didn't do it. The beavers did it.
Beautiful. So they encourage the beavers, or let the beavers dam up water so they can have water that would be illegal for them to have otherwise.
Absolutely. So I can see how it'd be beneficial not to have beaver, barbecued beaver or beaver jerky because of the fact that, they're doing the work for you.
Well, that's a good outcome up there, and God bless the beavers for doing their good work up there in Colorado. Down here, they're a nuisance where I am, but up there, they're serving a good purpose.
Yes,
I would have been happy to catch a few and ship them to Colorado, by the way.
Well, I was going to say, you're supposed to be coming out there at the Johnstown again. Do you know what time frame?
It will be in the spring. I'm making it my deceased wife's car is going to be a gift for my granddaughter, who will begin driving in a little more than a year. So I'll be driving. I'll be driving out there once the snow's out of the mountains. I've driven through those mountains with snow, and it's quite frankly no fun at all. It's pretty scary. But once the snow's out of the mountains, we're looking at probably May, I guess. There's still snow in the
Very
mountains
good.
in April, isn't there?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I know we ski till May, so I'll keep you abreast of how the conditions are.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
places.
and I'll talk to Paul Martin. We'll get a speaking engagement set up in Johnstown. And it's been a good 2 years, I guess, since I've done that, isn't it?
Yes, sir. I remember my son was pretty young, and he attended the last class too. But yes, at least 2 years.
Well, it's always a fun event, and I always look forward to seeing you and seeing Paul and the regulars that show up, it will be a lot of fun. You use the oils every day, Leon. I use the oils every day. You and I are both healthy, active adult males. We're productive in our chosen careers, and we want to stay that way. We want to maintain our health, maintain our level of activity, and the oils help us to achieve our goals, don't they?
Absolutely, and just to show you, my mom just left. I'm at her house in North Texas, and you know, she called me. Her husband had passed away back in February, and you know, he was going downhill because he was taking that poison called aspartame. And I kept telling him that stuff is terrible for you. And so years ago, I used to tell him about that. And then his kidneys started to fail, and then he went on dialysis, and then
it's a very predictable path. We're having a chili dinner here, our preparedness group, the first Saturday of December. We're going to make sure people bringing sugar-free desserts, which obviously would have aspartame, have them clearly labeled so that people cannot inadvertently consume this poison. And aspartame is, in fact, it's not a figure of speech. If you have an ant problem with ants, the aspartame will take care of them on it.
Absolutely. I had an organic garden, and I would go get all the free packets from the restaurants I'd go eat at, and I'd take them home, and I poured it around the garden. I did not have any ant problems, and also rodents too, and I did it around my workshop in the garage. And so it works very well as a poison, but when I tell people that, I even told a friend of mine in San Antonio at the paint booth, I told his wife that, and she said, I don't see where it says poison. I'm like, wow. Hosea 4:6, people thirst because of lack of knowledge. Oh my gosh.
Well, it doesn't matter whether they see it or not, because right there in a tube of Crest toothpaste, that if they swallow the toothpaste, you call it poison control. So it doesn't matter whether it says it or not.
You're right.
Now, the aspartame will also take care of the rodents, correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a good thing. The rodents will think, the mice and rats will think it's a tasty snack, and next thing you know, they're dead.
Correct. And if you do that, especially if you add it to peanut butter, so that's a great way because you know they'll consume it then. What I was going to say is, so my mother was here, and she told me about, she and him would always go hunting or especially go fishing. And so somehow she had a panic attack because she went to a place that they had many great memories together. And so she had so many problems that she went into AFib, fibrillation.
Hold that thought, man.
So,
hold that thought. We got a break for right
yep.
back. We are back with J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 11th of November. We are going on a cruise. At this point, cabins may be available. As of yesterday, cabins were available. I talked to our cruise director, Betsy Murphy. And if you want to go with us, we'll check out the details there at my website. We have Valentine's Day right in the middle of the cruise. A great time to be away from the ice and cold that most people are experiencing in the second week of February. So check out the details. If you want to go, give our cruise director, Betsy Murphy, a call. Betsy's telephone number is 636-530-9502. Visiting with Leon Green, we're talking about doTERRA essential oils. Here's how you get started. If you want to join Leon and I in a healthy, productive lifestyle, here's what you do. First of all, at my website at thelibertyman.com, under products, it's just as a drop-down menu. You'll see doTERRA oils. You go there, you can begin your shopping experience with doTERRA oils, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. You're going to need two books. They're both the same book, different editions. Simple title. Here's the title: Modern Essentials. Modern Essentials. That's the title. Even with the 5th edition, it's a great reference book. They say things there we are prohibited from saying now. And the 11th edition, which came out in September, has new oils that didn't exist back when the 5th edition was published. Now, if you want to move on from there and get a private consultation, or you'd like to consider having doTERRA oils be another stream of income for you and your family, you're going to want to talk to Leon Green about a private consultation or how to make doTERRA into a little side business for you. And Leon, what's that telephone number?
Yes, sir. It's 303-495-2188. Mountain Time.
Okay. That's Mountain Time. If you don't get him because he's off making more modifications to that beautiful Dodge pickup truck, you can't pick up the phone, but leave a message at 303-495-2188. Well, we have, I live in the country, Leon, and we have issues with mice and rats and insects. And I'm going to get a really big box of Splenda and use it to take care of the mice and the rodents and the insects in a very cost-effective way. I can get a big box of this stuff for not much money delivered to the door through Amazon. And it's poison. It's poison, and people don't get it. They have a belief that our government, the Food and Drug Administration, an executive agency under President Trump, will protect us, and they won't allow things that could cause harm to be on the grocery store shelves. Nothing could be further from the truth, could it, Leon?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, look at the hydrogenated fats. For 50 years, they told us it's better to have margarine and partially hydrogenated fat. And it wasn't because of that. It was because the food companies were losing so much money because food was spoiled. The oils would go rancid and things like that. So they said, here, we can pretty much suspend time by making these fats, these trans fats, last much longer. And so they banned it now. And so I think they're getting up on they had a 2.5-year window to pretty much ban them all in America. So all the chips, all the things that have the fats in them are going to be modified now. So the bags of Doritos will no longer last 3, 5, 10 years on the shelves, Twinkies and things like that. So prices are going to go up because things are going to spoil and it's not going to be convenient for them. So, but physically, they found out there's over 50,000 emergency room visits each year because of trans fats, and over 500 fatalities because of the deaths of the clogged arteries and the circulation system. So it is a lie that they've told us, and they were persuaded by the food industry to say, look, we can make much more money and our profit ratio will go up if we don't have to have these liquids and flavor devices that will extend, that can last indefinitely. So let us do that. So instead of having our hearts and our bodies' best interest in mind, they were more persuaded by the finances and being threatened by the food industry to keep passing on this toxic and heart impacting trans fats, partially hydrogenated, all those nasties. And I think there's only like 8 or 9 months left, and they all have to be banned. So it's going to impact French fries and things like that because a lot of that stuff is all trans fats.
The first Twinkies were invented in 1930, and chances are Twinkies from 1930, if they were in the original package, are just as good now as they were in 1930. We don't know. I mean, well, seriously, apparently they never go bad if the original packaging is never compromised. The grandmother of a friend of mine, that was one of the mainstays of her diet. She was a woman in her mid to late 80s, and she ate Twinkies every day. We got a break. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Tuesday, the 5th of November. My website has a lot there. We have a lot of new listeners. I'm doing more guest appearances. We have new people every day. Just found out about John Moore. I was on with Doug Hagman yesterday. I'll be talking to Doug again today. And new people coming there and finding out what's on my website. Many of you, I know, want to stay up to date on what's going on. We have the daily intelligence briefing. It's updated. We try to get it updated every day. Sometimes we're a day or two late. A friend of mine, former counterintelligence agent, he publishes this every day. And I had lunch with him a few weeks ago, and he told me, John, the militia unit I'm associated with, we're dramatically increasing our tactical training the next 12 months in preparation for what we believe could happen, which the election, by the way, is exactly 12 months from today. First Tuesday in November 2020 will be the presidential election. Exactly 12 months from today, 365 days. Also on our website, if you're interested in health, if you're interested in being productive, if you have arthritis pain, if you're not sleeping well at night, I sleep as great as a small child every night. You can also. You can, actually, yeah. I use my energy cleanser every night. Leon uses his every night here. I'm just to have it. And I wake up pain-free in the morning, having had a great night's sleep. You can also. This week, we're going to have Steve Whitman on Thursday, first hour, talking about his experience and how the energy cleanser literally saved his life. Not figuratively, literally saved his life. It'll be a great story. If you haven't heard Steve before, be sure and tune in the first hour Thursday this week. $285 shipping included, American zip codes. The mattress pads that go with it, they vary in price. We have twin size, full, queen, king, California king, and handy travel size. Everything is in stock, ready for immediate shipment. Toll-free our line to order the energy cleaner and the mattress pad. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Leon, the level of ignorance among the general American population when it comes to these artificial sweeteners, for example, it's a friend of mine, he and his wife are both friends of mine. He's a medical doctor. She's a registered nurse. She was buying Splenda literally by the case. And I was in their home, and I saw this on the shelf, and I said, seriously, do you have any idea what this stuff is, Splenda? And I told her the following, which is a true statement. Splenda increases the size of some of your internal organs and shrinks some of your other internal organs. Now, that can't possibly be good, can it, Leon?
Absolutely not. I mean, your body knows homeostasis. So if you have some foreign chemical that's in your body that's affecting the size and ultimately will affect the functionality of that organ, then yes, you're going to have some serious complications. So it is definitely not positive. And so spend aspartame. If the packet's not white, then it is not going to be good, because blue, yellow, pink, whatever color you want, unless it's brown sugar or raw sugar or honey, I wouldn't even touch it. Stevia is good, but yeah, all the other things are just toxic. Don't waste your money and waste your time, and more importantly, don't waste your health on it.
Right. Well, if I was king, which isn't going to happen, obviously, if I was king, I would make diet soda illegal. I would put it in the same status as fentanyl and heroin. I would, seriously. It is literally physically addictive. Diet soda is literally physically addictive. And if you're an Air Force pilot and you're active duty on flight status, If they catch you drinking diet soda, you will be reprimanded. If they catch you the second time, it will be a stronger reprimand. The third time, you're probably going to be taken off flight status by the U.S. Air Force. That's how dangerous this stuff is. The U.S. Air Force will reprimand you and eventually take you off flight status if you're caught drinking diet soda. Having blurred vision and so forth is not a good thing when you're going faster than the speed of sound, is it?
Absolutely not. Yeah, I agree. I'd love to see that information. You said this from Michael Savage. My brother's a pilot. I told him that, and he's like, no, I haven't heard that. So I would love to be able to send that to him and all the people who are doubting Thomases. I know about the brain fog. I've seen that already with people.
Right. Well, it's not publicized outside the Air Force. Why would it be? It's an internal matter of discipline and health and productivity and safety, all those things for the U.S. Air Force. And I've never looked at it. I've never sought out the documentation. I know people in the Air Force, and so they've told me what goes on there. We got a caller on hold. We got Elizabeth in New York. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Yes, John. The reason why I'm calling is I heard you mention Splenda. Dr. Russell Blaylock found that it's also an excitotoxin. People who have like epilepsy or any kind of seizures want to absolutely avoid consuming that. And I think they also found that it causes the brain to swell.
Well, my skull is big, barely big enough to hold my brain as it is, and if it swelled up, that would not be a good thing, would it, Elizabeth?
No, it wouldn't. And the reason why I know so much about this is I have a sister that has mesial temporal sclerosis, and she's prone to seizures. And she was constantly consuming this. I finally convinced her to stop. But sadly, it's a little bit too late.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that, Elizabeth. But it's people make choices, and those choices have consequences, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yep,
I just want all the listeners out there to be aware of this because, you know, they're told, oh, it's safe. You know, the FDA and everyone else will tell you, oh, it's a safe level, and it's not. It's basically, in my opinion, the equivalent of rat poison.
Well, yes,
not that it's the same ingredients, but you might as well just be, you know, consuming that.
Well, when aspartame was under review by the FDA, not one but two scientists said, no, this stuff can't be approved for human consumption. They were both fired. The third scientist decided that his career and his retirement was more important than doing the right thing, so he approved for humans to consume aspartame, which, by the way, was discovered in an Army chemical weapons lab. That's how it was discovered. Inadvertently, the scientist developing weapons to kill people got some on his finger and happened to inadvertently taste it and found that it was incredibly sweet.
No, I had one other quick question. Yes, stevia. Is it safe? Because I'm told it's from a South American plant.
Yeah, stevia is a natural
Has anything
product.
bad been found about stevia at this point?
It's far sweeter than sugar. It doesn't take very much stevia to have a lot of sweetness. It's a safe sweetener, and it's a natural product, yes.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking my call. Have a good day.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. The call number is 800-313-9443. We, as a population, we're literally, not figuratively, we are literally killing ourselves, aren't we, Leon?
Absolutely. And we just go down the list and think about this. We have the chlorine in the water. We use that same bleach to kill bacteria on, whites and other things. We use chlorine to kill as a broad spectrum sanitizer for surgeries. And so and then we have microwaves that, pretty much the nutritive value of food and kill the enzymes and the microwave oven use. And then we have all the toxins from the aspartame and, mercury in our heads and our teeth. And then we have aluminum cookware and aluminum zirconium on the the antiperspirant that clogs up your pores, so you keep all your toxins in instead of sweating them out through the skin naturally. And also aluminum binds with fluoride in the water and it crosses the blood-brain barrier. And when they do autopsies of people who have dementia, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's, they have per capita the largest cases of aluminum and fluoride in the body. It stores in the brain. And so there's a whole list of things that we poison ourselves with daily because of ignorance. And so, this is where we try to educate people, and most people, they're astounded to hear that the aspartame is poison. And if they looked into the history behind it and the people that were fired because of it, or just like the dental, the U.S., the American Dental Association, their top doctors and their commissioners said, we are not going to put fluoride in there. But because of Alcoa and the big aluminum industry had to get rid of that fluoride poison because of its toxicity, it's in the top 10 in America. And what do? How do they hide it? They dump it in the water and make us pay for it in the form of poisoning the water. And the Nazis use it as a way to make the imprisoned slaves, or the imprisoned concentration people, pretty much slaves, and they made them docile.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's a active ingredient in psychotropic drugs, and it has the effect in the human brain of calming you down, making you more passive, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So in Israel, the country has banned the use of fluoride in the water completely. It's the only country in the world that does that. And others will probably follow suit. But yeah, they learned in the past how bad it is, and they know it's not effective for the teeth. And that ADA director was burned and fired, and then they brought another person, and either he had to roll over for them, or he was going to be terminated too. So, it's a matter of money, inconvenience, and right now, the Americans are paying the price of it in the form of their health. And ignorance is not bliss when it comes to what they're doing to the whole food system and the water system. And then we can also go into the sewer system where they recycle the water, and now they find volatile organic compounds and all the chemicals. And antibiotics are now in the water that's being recycled. And so, yeah, you're drinking it whether you like antibiotics or not. You're still drinking that. You're taking all these chemicals in the water unless you have a purifier to isolate those chemicals out of your body. And so it is important that you...
I do offer the Berkey water filters for sale at my website. And, of course, they have an upgraded filter that will take the sodium fluoride out, which is difficult to get out, but they have the upgraded filter that will remove the sodium fluoride. I have an article at my website at thelibertyman.com. When you scroll down right in the middle, you'll see a photograph, a black and white photograph of Dr. Hardy lying back, pretty serious credentials. A gentleman who had been the president of the Canadian Association for Dental Research. If you're going to be a dentist involved in research, that's very serious credentials. Imagine how humiliating, Leon, that you felt compelled to apologize to all your friends and family, everybody you went to high school and college with, apologize to your entire country because you previously had advocated that human beings consume sodium fluoride. How humiliating. But he did the right thing. He did it for the right reasons. And this is the real deal. Sodium fluoride is poison. It does not help your teeth. It hurts every organ of your body. It even changes your DNA. That's how powerful this stuff is. And the consequences of consuming sodium fluoride are very, very dangerous. So get yourself a Berkey water filter. If you live in a community that has sodium fluoride in drinking water, make sure you get the upgrades to the filter to take the sodium fluoride out, and incorporate that into your daily routine. Right, Leon?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I want for my retreat, I want to buy maybe a case or two more of those filters. So do they ever have like an annual sale that you have access to that we can buy a bunch from you? I'd rather buy it from you than
I'm not aware of any sales. They're so covered up with orders, they don't have to have sales. The demand is so high. Well, they don't. Sales are typically a way to increase sales. But if you got all the sales you can handle, why would you do that? If you want to get started with the doTERRA oils, here's what you do. You go to my website, the drop-down menu, get to the little Terra Oil section. You're going to want to start out with a kit. A kit is the best way to get started for a novice, isn't it, Leon?
Absolutely, because you have the most variety for the average person. And then if you have anything special that you need, like you need to increase blood circulation, you do something like Cypress. So you can always, get a kit and then just add anything specific. Or if you need 2 more bottles of On Guard to protect you from airborne pathogens and also contact pathogens, and you can use. So that's the smartest way, to get it as a kit and just add on whatever else you want thereafter, as compared to doing it piecemeal. And then it's actually less expensive to buy a kit than it is to buy them individually.
Absolutely. So that's a great way to get started. Get yourself copies of the book, the 5th edition and the 11th edition of Modern Essentials. Once you get started on the oils, you're gonna love the oils. They'll become part of your daily life. You may be so pumped up on it that you want it to become a part-time business and have another stream of income. Another stream of income is always a good thing. If that's what you want to do, Leon can help you get started. His telephone number is 303-495-2188. And it all works together to help everybody become healthier and more productive. Leon, I'm going to have a notice on my website soon, probably in a day or two, to have a place where people can go the third weekend of this month to get training on how to help support President Trump at the local level. It'll take place in St. Louis. It will be the third weekend of November. I'll be talking to the chairman of the PAC, the Republican PAC, sponsoring this. And if you're healthy and are more productive because you're using the oils, you can do things that are more fun, like help President Trump get reelected and help make America great again, can't we?
Yes, sir. That's good to hear. And I should find out when he's coming to Colorado. I've never seen him speak, but I apparently hear that there's standing room only access for him. But
get there at 3 o'clock in the morning. You get there at 3 a.m. if you want a seat. Seriously. If you want to get a seat, whatever stadium it is, you get there at 3 o'clock in the morning. And there'll be people there already. So bring a blanket or something to stay warm. And it's almost like a tailgate party. The people standing there waiting to get into the stadium, people visiting and getting to know each other. Here's our last break. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
We are back with Jared Moore here on Tuesday, the 5th of November. I was at that link there for Dr. Linebeck, Leon, and there's an article that says 97% of Western Europe has rejected the idea of putting sodium fluoride in drinking water. Europeans tend to be pretty well educated and tend to actually read books, don't they?
Yes, sir. But I think some people are waking up now listening to you talk on the radio, and they're able to confirm it. That's what's awesome about the internet is you can find the sources and trace it back to find out the history of all these things. That no library can control or contain this. So having access to records from hundred years ago that you'd be able to access now, with people taking pictures and microfiche being converted to data. So it keeps doubling. I think it's like every 9 months the internet doubles in knowledge or information. It's like that's incredible. And it's just going to get worse now with the smartphones. And I don't know if you've seen that, but I saw it on NBC last night how the Alexa and the Siri and all those, the Google, they're now easily hacked, so people can actually access the house. And the TVs have been recording the audio and the pictures and video in your house, and so those things are now being hacked. And they had I think it was the U.S. Congress is now getting involved in it because of the liability aspect. But yes, people. If you look at your laptop, you have that little camera that you can talk to people with Skype and other things, but they can also hack it and look at everything in your house. And there have been thefts in which people have been able to look inside a house and say, okay, we know where the plasma TV is, where they keep their firearms. They have an open safe in the middle of the living room, and they can see that. And so they can now listen to the microphone so they can hear it. And so you're exposed by being ignorant to this information. I saw this last night having dinner with my mother at a restaurant. And so I looked at that and I was like, wow, Alexa and Siri and the Google devices are easily hacked, and people are able to use that information against you just like they do for Facebook. So ignorance is not bliss in this regard, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Leon, we're looking forward, I am personally looking forward to seeing the write-up on that beautiful Dodge 12-valve diesel pickup truck you've got. It'll help a lot of people get that knowledge, because they might assimilate some thought on what they can do for themselves. That would be a really good thing, wouldn't it?
I guess so. It's going to take me a little while to get to that, because right now I'm going to drop some things off, and I have to work on my retreat and also put up some pallet shelving so I can store all my heavy stuff off the ground and off the floor so we have more usable space. So I will do that when I get a chance. Maybe I'll do some of it while I'm driving so I can it'll save me writing and sitting down and spending hours.
We can do it incrementally. It doesn't need to all be done at once. Just get a start, do 2 or 3 paragraphs, and we'll add to it as necessary.
Sounds good. And thanks again for... All right.
Well, thank you, Leon. Yeah, we'll see you next week, and have a great week, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, tomorrow morning we'll have Professor McKinney, the first hour, talking about all the different things that we talked about with Professor McKinney, and Jeff Nyquist, hour 2 of the International Communist Conspiracy. That's it for the day. Get the medical supplies, your energy cleaner, your essential oils now while you can.